Welcome to yet another top 3 of 2012. But whose could this be? Well, we have 2 down and 2 to go. And anyone that knows me knows that Civ might be my game, but I'd complain about losing too much time. So this must be Mr. Fluke's.
Indeed.
Civ is on your list.
Civ 5 Gods and Kings specifically, because Civ 5 was technically out 2011, but it was, I don't know, it didn't feel complete as Civ 4 was at its peak, and Gods and Kings kind of made it, completed the game, if you know what I mean. Filled out a lot of the places that were lacking in the base Civ 5 game. So yeah, definitely. Just down to the sheer amount of time that I've sunk into this. I can't even count the number of hours I've lost to Gods and Kings.
Okay, first thing I'm going to say, Mr. Kel's here as well.
Hello.
Kel.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
It's pretty hard to derail Fluke once he starts talking.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But you mentioned a word there. You were like, this completed it. Does that mean that you don't feel it needs anything else?
Well, there's always more you could add. There's ways you could expand it, which they've kind of left open. There's a mod interface built into Civ 5, which is seeing some use on the Steam. What's it? I forget the name for
Workshop.
it. That's it. The Steam Workshop. I've got a couple. I'm playing as one in this video. I'm playing as the transhumanist Civ, which popped up on the Workshop front page for it as one of the recommended mods. So I'd give it a go. It's one of the very research and science oriented races, which I tend to go for. As you can see here, with most of the guys are throwing things like lancers at me, and I'm running around with infantry and battleships and tanks, so it's rather entertaining at this point.
There's Belgrade.
Yeah,
sat off in a little island.
The city-states. City-states are interesting, like miniature civilizations that react accordingly if you're their allies or they're allies with somebody else, and they have personalities of their own. They'll only grow one city, but if you get friendly with them, they'll trade those resources, so luxury resources to keep your empire happy, or valuable military resources like aluminium or oil, coal, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I always had a problem with city-states sitting on top of valuable resources because I'm not the most diplomatic of people when I play Civ.
Yeah, there's ways around that, you know.
Yeah. So if you were to look at Gods and Kings, like you mentioned that it completes the game.
It adds so much that was, like I said, was missing in the base Civ 5. Things like religion. It's difficult to describe because they changed how religion works very much in Civ 5. They've changed the shape of the tiles, they changed how many military units. From Civ 4 to Civ 5, you can only have 1 unit per tile, which annoyed a lot of people. A lot of people were very upset they couldn't have these giant stacks of invulnerability and just wander around and smash everything up. Combat's a lot more drawn out in Civ 5, and they changed that even further with Gods and Kings and altered how units heal and how many hit points they've got. It feels a lot more natural and a lot more like it should, rather than these invulnerable armies wandering and just marauding around the countryside. I don't tend to play much in multiplayer because I'm wholly honest, I'm not that good at Civ. I enjoy playing it, but I'm not very good at it.
It's also a pain in the ass. If I'm honest, like a game like Civ is great for multiplayer if you're just going to sit down and say, for example, me and you were going to sit down and play for an afternoon. But
an afternoon's not long enough.
None of those games that we play Anno together a fair amount, and we used to play Civ 4 together a fair amount. And, we would play for 8 to 12 hours, and it would be fantastic, but then you'd save it and you'd be like, we'll come back to it, and then you never do, because that to me is the giant pain in the ass bit, where it's like, you can have these multiplayer games and do these wonderful multiplayer things, but you really have to have people that work to the same schedules as you, otherwise you're never going to get it done.
Yeah. The same schedule of an inordinate amount of time to spend on doing pretty much nothing. It is a lot of fun, but yeah.
You also got this situation where you play multiplayer that you could have this grand strategy worked out in your head. It's like, okay, we'll save and we'll come back to it in a couple of days. You come back, what was I doing?
Yeah, that's the problem with the multiplayer games. You come back to it and everybody's got, say, the weekend, so you'll have a couple of hours over the weekend, and we couldn't play next weekend, and nobody can remember what they were quite in the middle of, which city they were planning on taking next in this military campaign, or what exactly these workers were supposed to be doing next. There is a lot to Civ. And I say with Gods and Kings, they added a lot more that wasn't in the Civ 5, like religion, espionage. Espionage is a big one. That really changes. I'll be honest, I'm not very good at it, and I really hate the AI using it, because they do it all the time. You can use your spies to, the city-states, you can flip who they're allied with with your spies manipulating political campaigns and things like that in the city-states. So you can be about to go to war thinking you've got all these city-states on your side, and in the space of a few turns, because the AI's seen the build-up of units heading for his borders, he started to flip these city-states over, so when you go to war, they're actually fighting against you. Or you'd lose the ally status with them just at the last minute, so you've got to decide, am I going to be able to take all the city-states on and this guy? Because some of them have quite potent weaponry. They will put out quite a number of military units. And on occasion, they will actually take other cities. I've had a few city-states that have had multiple cities under their control, which they really start to become a problem, because they get quite bolshy quite quickly.
Yeah.
Do you not feel like there's a lot going on? I mean, looking at your map here, compared to the map I remember from Civ games, every tile pretty much has crap on it.
I tend to have everything displayed, so each tile is displaying. Check this out. Research agreement. He wants a research agreement. He wants pretty much everything I have just to have a research agreement with me. I'm like, no? Maybe? What about just a research agreement? Not at all acceptable? Okay, then go away. Greedy Swedes. I'll wipe him out later. But no, I have it view everything on all the tiles. So the little 4 apples showing me that tile's worth 4 food to me and stuff like that. So I know exactly what I'm doing. I like to be able to see everything at a glance. All the extra resources like horses and stone, silver, copper, they all add little bits and pieces. So I like to be able to see exactly where everything is.
It looks so cluttered to me.
It really
Jim might just
Katie can't play it like this either. Katie likes it a lot more simple than I do and turns a lot of the overlays off. But I like to be able to see everything that's going on, and I've got about 2 or 3 different fronts going off. I've just got a piece with. I actually freed the orange guys. They'd been completely destroyed. Who was it? Darius. The Persians had taken them over completely. So I went and attacked the city, and instead of capturing it, it gives you the option to annex it, to put in a puppet in its place, which generates less unhappiness, but you have no control over what the city's doing. Or you can liberate it, so you can bring a civilization back from the dead and give them their cities back, and they become very friendly to you and all the rest of it. You can do it. It's very different to Civ 4. They have moved forward in a lot of ways, I think, and they've improved combat massively from what it was in Civ 4. Gods and Kings made Civ 5 more complete, and again, further refined the combat. And like I said, it has to be there on my list. I've sunk such an inordinate amount of time into it. It's not even funny. Just single player on my own, not even multiplayer. Just filling in time between stuff, and when I can't sleep, which is often, it helps.
See, I normally find it the other way around. If you play Civ, you can't sleep.
I don't know. I play games like this to try and help me sleep. They're mellow. They chill me out.
That's it. It's because it's turn-based. It's a lot more slow rather than a lot of the FPS or Twitch games or big strategy stuff that I could be playing.
But one more turn.
Yeah, but it's one more turn of slowly going to sleep rather than just one more life of Twitch. Where's the guy? You know what I mean? It's just a bit more calm, a bit more laid back.
And if you can control it, and if you can be like, no more turns. Like, if after you've sunk like 700 hours into a game, you're not going to be like, one more turn. You're going to be like, I can pick this up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like breaking a crack habit.
Yeah. I think we should probably move on.
I will say I am surprised to see this on your list, but kind of I understand why at the same time.
I've really enjoyed it, and I still enjoy playing it. I enjoy playing this one. I'm watching the play. I want to go back and play it again. But anyway, we should move on.
Yeah.
My second game on the list. You're going to hate me for this, no doubt.
I know instantly what this is.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'll let you talk, and I'll let you explain why, and then I'm going to break you in half.
Yeah. Well, this is, of course, PlanetSide 2. It's a fairly recent release as far as the year's concerned, and part of the reason it's on this list is because it was a total sleeper for me. I reasonably had no interest in it. Serge was banging on about it. Serge was in the beta, and he got me a beta key for it, and I never installed it. I never played in the beta at all. I wasn't really interested. And then, on a whim, I randomly installed it and started playing it, and got sucked in. It was like, right, this is Game of the Week. So we had it as Game of the Week for like a month straight. I have an immense amount of fun playing. There are so many things in the game that irritate the crap out of me. It's not without its flaws, do not get me wrong. It's not a perfect game by a long chalk. There's a lot of work to do, in my opinion. But they are working on it. They are making those constant changes, which surprised me for a company as large as they are. They've really listened to what annoys players. There are some things that do seem a little kind of tweaked towards making money in the cash shop. Like, you've got to buy camos twice between vehicles and player, and like your armor for your character running around. But it does have to make money somewhere. And, you know, there's issues with draw distance occasionally, things like that, like popping in. But again, the scale of the game, you can understand why it's such a technological challenge, what they're doing. And what they have done is very, very fun to play. Like I said, not without its flaws, but it's just immense fun. I love flying around in the Liberator, which is what you'll see me doing mostly in this video. I wanted to put in what I have the most fun doing. So most of my certs have gone, sunk into improving my Liberator. And I go around dogfighting in it all the time now. It's just things like this, flying around trying to dodge this guy. I've got a Reaver on my tail, trying to dodge him, flying into what will be hostile airspace very shortly, and trying not to hit any of the objects while I'm doing it.
Right. So I'm going to now
you. It's immense amounts of fun. I know you don't have as much fun because of the way they've done some of the balance.
I have fun occasionally, but there is too many points for me that are in the negative column in this for it to be in my top list of games. Now, I'm going to say, first off, I think that might be because of the different types of games that you and I play. Like, why I don't play as big a connection with this.
Just to say that, what I enjoy about this, I enjoyed about Battlefield Bad Company 2, and I kind of miss that because, you know, obviously things have moved on a bit since Bad Company 2. And you get that large battlefield kind of experience from this. And that's what I enjoyed about it. I think that's what I like so much about it. Danny pounding the hell out of that Liberator with a bottom cannon. Guy didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I noticed that one of the LThan3 guys was with you. Right, so I'm now going to complain about this one. I heard you, when you first started playing this, complaining about the draw distance like there was no tomorrow. And the draw distance in this game is terrible when you're flying.
It depends. It's actually bop. It's ram bonus. Roadkill bonus. You know, you don't try and close in on me, Libby. I will just ram you out of the sky. Yes, it has its problems, like I said, but the draw distance is dynamic. The more players there are involved in a fight, so if you get right into the middle of the Zerg where there's 200 people from each of the three factions all fighting over a point, it lowers the draw distance further so that people with better computers don't inherently get a massive advantage. Snipers shooting people that can't even be seen, that kind of thing. So.
But when you're in, say, a scythe and you're going 200
say when you're doing 240 kph
at
ground level and then suddenly
about
an ammo
the exact
tower.
same thing. When things like ammo towers just suddenly pop into existence and rip you in half.
Yeah, it's like the ammo tower just appears in front of you and there's nothing you can do to dodge it. Yes, it occasionally happens.
There is no reason for that to happen, because they could just put in like a low res version of it, or put the center of the tower still there and just have the flashy bit around the outside of it appear. Like, they don't.
And this, I understand. Yeah, I agree with you, because I've started since I've as you're looking at the bits and pieces I've got on my Liberator, I'm looking what I can save up for, what I really need to save certs for, and it's only the nano repair really, and the infrared for my front cannon, the thermal for my front cannon. I've started putting some things on my side and flying a lot more in the side. I've gotten better at it now that I've flown the Libby a lot. The side's very, very twitchy. But
So just to quickly fill in, like what you can see flying at the moment is the Liberator, the 3-person bomber.
Gunship
and
bomber
the Scythe is a single-man fighter, essentially.
Air superiority fighter.
Yeah, but you can use it for strafing runs for the ground as well.
Yeah.
So
multi-roll.
Yeah, but it's a single-man, lightweight frame, fast, and just effective. It's essentially a very glass cannon-y. Yeah, and it's the single-man fighter that you would normally say.
I wouldn't say glass cannon, because again, a lot of that...
Those things can be taken out by ground fire.
Yes, they are weak, but they're not. They are aircraft. They are manoeuvrable.
Yeah, but they're
fast. Up for
it. They make up for it in their speed, but they are very fragile.
Yeah, they don't. But the glass cannon implies a massive quantity of damage coming out of them, which isn't strictly true anymore. Some of the weapons were.
Not if you're using the lock-on missiles, no. But we're not going to get into the finer points of this now. Like, depending on what weapons you're using,
to get squashed between a Reaver and a Galaxy. Literally, one of them hits me on the top and pushes me. He nudges me down straight into the Galaxy.
But I feel that there are too many flaws in this game at the moment. I feel that they'll be fixed. I have faith in them being fixed.
They are quite quickly.
I don't feel it's quite there yet. For me personally, I can understand why
I
you...
get that. I mean,
this is your top three.
Things. We are looking for different things in the game.
Don't let me crap all over your pudding.
Oh, I'm not. Believe you me, I was having fun playing this just before we recorded the video. I couldn't resist a quick 15 minutes of flying around dogfighting in a Libby and took out a bunch of Reavers on my own. It's fun. The shine might wear off, I don't know, but for now I am having immense amounts of fun, even if it's just on my own, flying around when it's quiet, doing nothing. That's why I've spent 500 certs on the ejector system for it. I use it as a mini dropship, so I'll pick 2 guys up and we'll just go around and cap points and pick off the occasional bad guy we come across. I have fun just flying across the landscape. It's just...
I don't know, I've had problems getting into PlanetSide solo playlists. I mean, I've played it with a bunch of the LThan3 guys, the rare occasions I'm actually around when people are playing, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun. I think we had 15 people at one point, and
oh yeah, it definitely is a game that I will admit it shines beautifully if you have a squad. If you're running around in a squad.
But I logged in to play with one of my friends who recently picked it up, and it didn't have the same feeling for me personally. I couldn't see myself playing it unless there were a bunch of people already playing that I could join in with.
Yeah, I think part of recently there's one of the guys who used to kind of see on occasion playing the game early on has spent a lot of certs getting command channel access. So he's kind of working on Vanu's side, just getting everybody into one big platoon and organising stuff. And I've been having a lot more fun because there's less solo work involved. You feel like you're working much more to an objective, and he's very good at actually guiding people around. So I think that's probably the issue you're running into. There's not really... It's a very open-ended game in that respect. It's not just a simple shooter where you're in a 16-man match and the objective is kill everybody. You pretty much, you go where you want. You set your own objectives. Yes, the objective is take everything on the continent, but that's a very open-ended... It's a very large continent and there's 3 of them.
There's another one of my huge concerns. So, I mean, we're running out of time, but the fact that most of the fighting that goes on takes place on one continent, just because you want to jump in and play straight away, and that's the one you load in on.
This is actually one of the quieter continents. I've found more recently I've been having a bit more fun on there. So you get a lot of the Zerg on the first continent, Indar, but you get a lot more sensible strategy used on the other 2 continents because you get less people just jumping in.
Well, like I said, I'm not gonna crap in your pudding. If you think this is one of your top 3, then awesome.
As a free-to-play game, it's certainly worth people picking up and having a look at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And form your own opinion on. If you don't like it, fair enough, not for you. But I think it's amazing. I have loads of fun playing it, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect to enjoy it, which is part of the attraction. I think it was a surprise hit with me.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So yeah, that's PlanetSide 2. That's me shooting people down.
I believe
it's about to end badly.
For me, you're about to crash. I believe for me it will get there, but at the moment, I think there's too much wrong with it.
Ejection
me
system.
personally.
Danny, however, wasn't so lucky. So yeah.
Now, this is more
Straight into the action.
I would high five you if I could. I would fist bump you and blow it up.
Yeah, definitely
if
one
could.
of my favourite games of the year. One that I did actually wait for, was keeping my eye on. Big fan of the first two. Massive Max Payne fan. Love the whole film noir style that was originally based on. I can't get enough of the game, to be fair. I just, again, so much fun playing it and just doing things in silly ways. It's the movie cinematic style behind it. The silly action shots to dodge the grenades and shooting the gas tanks to blow people up, stealing weapons and rolling over a weapon as you pick it up and shooting the guy in the forehead in slow motion. It's just silly fun.
Go on, gush. I want to hear you gush about this game.
I like the story. While, again, it's cheesy. It's a really cheesy, silly, typical action cliche film story. And you know what's coming, reasonably speaking. But I quite like the new art style they've taken. I like the way they've tried to modernise it a little. And there's only a few niggles I have with it. But
what are they? Let's get them out of the way.
They're the same niggles that affected the first two. Things like, the bullet time dodge and the jumps and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll hit an object and it'll jar you out of the slow motion. Things that, little technical glitches, but they're far less frequent than they were in the first two games. It's a lot better, a lot smoother. It's a lot smoother in experience, I think is the best way of saying that.
Polished.
Yes, a lot more polished. The seamless little cutscenes that are part of the game, if you know what I mean. They guide you. It's very linear. It is a very, very story-oriented game. Little collectibles, there's similar genres. We all seem to have picked a game in this kind of vein that we've enjoyed playing, to be fair. I'm just mentally comparing this with Alan Wake, and just it's a different genre of film, but it's effectively a very, very story game, if you know what I mean. Very much a story to be told.
I think, like, for me, this would have been on my list next to Alan Wake if it hadn't been for Alan Wake being that. I didn't want two of the same, but it's the way the story is being told. Like, games of old used to kind of stay to standard conventions, and now they're exploring more in film-esque ways. They're actually, you've seen the game genre or game creation and game storytelling evolve over the past 5-10 years. You don't agree? Do you not agree?
I think,
look at games 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, and look at some of the games we've had this year, and look at what they're trying.
Why? I think it's the market, the people that play games is expanding. It's a lot more socially acceptable to be a gamer, if you know what I mean. It's not just the thing for sad little nerdy geeks in mom's basement. So they try to appeal to more people and try more angles to come at to get people interested in a game. Different styles of telling us even the same story. I mean, reasonably saying, Max Payne tells a very similar story to many other games of this genre, but it's the way it's told that appeals to different players.
This does things that those games in the past didn't do. I mean, I mean,
technically a lot smoother.
Look at all the kind of story games that we've had this year that have kind of pushed boundaries in either the way they tell the story or just how deep they go with the story or how brutal they are. Like, Max Payne 3's story is pretty brutal.
Doesn't pull any punches at all. The language, the violence, the everything.
Yeah, exactly. Games used to pull some of those punches.
Yeah, a lot more was left to the imagination.
Yeah, things would essentially... It's, that kind of thing of stuff would happen off-scene and your mind would fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
That you would believe it happened because your mind would fill it in, but it didn't actually happen on camera.
Yeah, I think
You're getting a lot more of actually showing you. I mean, like we said, this was pretty brutal.
You're getting into the questioning of the media in general and how people's tolerance to violence and
not just violence. I believe that it feels like the story is more complete with these kind of things. Like, for example, we mentioned in previous videos and stuff that games, depending on the setting they're in, they shouldn't hold those punches if it doesn't make sense. Like Max Payne is a brutal story.
Yeah, it is very much from this man's point of view. When you get the narration, it's inside his head. So to pull any of those,
it's not brutality for brutality's sake.
Yes, it's brutality because this is what occurred. This is what makes him as messed up as he is. He is a culmination of his experience, and unless you detail that experience, he would seem a very odd and unlikable character. I don't think you'd be able to sympathise with him. I know. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it
is showing
what made
these brutal moments because that's what he experienced. Like, not going into story too much, but there is the moment that you'll remember straight away where he's in a building with the guys because he's down, in where he is, and he literally has a gun pointed to his head, and he's just like, "Look, I do not speak your language. I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do not understand." And he is literally like swearing at this guy, and literally is like, "I don't understand you," and cussing and blinding, and then there's brutal stuff going on around the scene before and after the scene. But they could have cut that out and just have him literally going, like, I'm sorry, mate, I don't understand you. But they literally, they had him essentially being offensive to this guy because it was getting the point across. It was like, look, I am in your country. I'm getting sick and tired of this. People believing that they're either talking about me behind my back in this language or, oh, you died.
Yeah.
Or they just...
That's good and hard.
They talk to me and expect me to know this language. It's like, look, I don't know what you're saying. And it's frustration of Max coming through. And the story of this game was incredible. It was one of those games, it came close to other things for me, which was, I mentioned Alan Wake's on my list. And it came close to Alan Wake for me in regards to, how long it took me to complete this game. I played this game over 2 days.
Yeah,
which is
draws you
quite
in.
Quick.
So it's got to play it. Want to see what happens next.
Well, it wasn't perfect, was it? If you had to say something about it, what would you say, just quickly before we end this? What would be your negative point?
The most negative point would be the little technical issues of occasionally you can see a target, you're aiming at the target, but the gun won't hit. There was one at the start of the video where he points the gun at the ceiling when I'm aiming at the guy and I should have, but for some reason I can see him. It's the third person view thing. The technical issues that arise from that. The dot is on them, but the gun will clip the box in front of you, or things like that. Yeah, exactly. And the way you're tied to cover sometimes, and you can't maneuver as fluidly as you'd like to. But they're things that are inherent in the genre. They're technical issues more than story or artistic issues. For example, the story, I just like you say, it draws you in. Everything about it, you want to play more of it. So a lot of the negative issues are overlooked. You forget them very, very quickly, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll agree this would be one of the games on my list that I would go back and play. I'll say that.
I think have you played this? I actually haven't played any of the Max Payne games.
Really?
Try this one.
Yeah.
We can't sit here and rant about that you haven't played it.
Yeah.
So,
you really have to play this one.
Anything else to say before we end this, Sand?
No, if you haven't played any of the games on the list, you really ought to go and give them a try.
Well, there you go. So, top 3 list down. Only one more to go, and mine's going to be a good one. I'll let you know that. So, if you want to let us know what your top 3 is, head over to our Facebook page. Yeah. There's a thing going on there. You can post and let us know what your top 3 games of this year was. But from myself, from Xander, from Serge, who's not here, and from Mr. Kel, we hope you've had a fantastic 2012 in gaming, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year for all of the games and everything else that's going to happen. We will catch you for the next video. Peace.
In a while.
Stay awesome.